Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. We straight, man. We moving good. We feeling good. We just got done with our warm-ups, warming up the whole body, getting ready to receive load, stabilize under load, and minimize risk and cost as much as possible. Today is week 4, primary bench. We're gonna run it. We're gonna see what numbers we come up with as we go along. We already got numbers pre-planned as I continue to dial that in, but as we go on, we'll definitely start to understand what we have for the day. So that's where I'm talking about. We're going to see how it plays out, but believe it's pre-planned. Other than that, welcome back to the page. Welcome to another video. Continue to stay tuned. We got bigger things coming, more things coming. Thank Elohim for everything that he's doing today and every day within my life, within the lives of others around me. I appreciate him. We love him. We're operating with a whole lot of love, a whole lot of hope, and a whole bunch of faith. Let's get it. Yeah, so last warm-up didn't move like I wanted it to, but we're still going up regardless. Just a simple fact, I pretty much run my body in the system stabilizing up the road after progressing it for me. So I'll watch a video back. I'll confirm what I already know, and then we'll proceed forward with our first ascending set, scenes. All right. So we just knocked out 356. It moved pretty good. My bar path was clean as ever. It was probably the cleanest it's been in a while. So it's good that on a week 4, my bar path and technical consistency can hang tight. As far as strength goes, I didn't come in feeling as strong as I liked. My last warm up, 314, or it would have been 320. Um, it wasn't as fast as I would have liked it to have been. So I made the right adjustments to make sure that I executed properly for, my ascending sets of 1. And I did just that. Not a PR today, but that's okay because we're still building and figuring out, this change in just, um, this change in body composition more so than anything. And the biggest thing for me that always takes a hit when I do a recomp is my bench. So just to be able to hang on and retain this much strength, this far down this recomp, cause now I'm down about 30 pounds, from where I originally started this from. So all in all, it's a good day. It's a good primary bench day. I can still feel some of the considerable fatigue, uh, lying heavy on me. So moving forward, going into my deload and then thinking into the future of my next block, I'll try to manage that a little bit better in terms of, accessories and other exposures such as squat and deadlift, primary and secondary. I've got some cooking, y'all. Stay tuned. Let's get on to our accessories. We got hack squat. We're going to kind of, draw this to a decline just because I'm trying to test something filthy for my squat day at this new low body weight, and just overall better body composition. So I'm gonna have to start chiseling off some of that fatigue just to stay within my respective lane, within this week 4. And I believe I can pull it off. Let's get it. Oh yeah, my hips affected later for those. Uh, felt pretty good. I think I worked up to 300, to 290, 300, 2 sets of 8. Like I said, we're kind of declining on the sessions for legs. So that way I can hear what I projected to hit this week for my primary squat day. Other than that, all good. It was good to open up the hips with some blood flow in the quads. Came in big, put about quite a bit of hip flexion work yesterday, short range and long range, and as well as loaded. So that way I can start building the hips back up progressively as I have in the past. I've just gotten away from it because there was a point where my strength was so high that, um, the minimized work that I was, the minimalistic work that I was doing, it wouldn't have interfered with the strength. But I just got lazy and stopped doing it. That's really what it boils down to. So now that I recognize that they pretty much go parallel to each other and how they affect strength and benefit strength, you will have times like after all that yesterday, this morning I woke up a little bit more stiff than normal. It's just because I worked my hips through isolation, loaded, short range, long range. So now that I understand what it's going to feel like, I know that I need to get into a deeper squat position, more knee flexion in order to allow those hips to, um, flow into a brace, as I would say, which is it's allowing them to feel the brace and not carry the load completely by itself. allow the quads to reintegrate back into the movement, allow the core tension, uh, basically what I call pre-brace timing, up breath brace timing, allow that to sync back up because after I isolate my hips like I did yesterday, obviously the focus and the tension solely put within the hip flexors versus when I do a squat bar pattern movement, everything has to work as a unit. So the hack squat, what I've realized this week forward is that if I do a movement like the hip isolation movement, I can come back to hack squat and resync everything. Ideally with stronger hip flexors, but obviously that strength doesn't show up right away, but it's a work in progress, just like I mentioned before. All right, what's going on, guys? So, just a little analysis of my bench day. Today, we didn't have the usual stabilization under load that we normally carry, which is the stabilization of velocity becoming faster after my second set. So being faster on my third set. So this time, stabilization came within the form of technical bar path, right? So what I mean by technical bar path is how efficient did my bar path stay and move from set to set, right? For me, technical bar path improved from my second set to my third set. I felt even more stabilized under load in this manner rather than being stabilized under load in the terms of being faster under a heavier weight, right? My velocity increasing. So my velocity actually decreased, which is to be expected because it is a week 4. General fatigue is higher just after the accumulation phase is taking place, and then week 3 being pre-strength expression phase into a week 4 where you get essentially peak expression, but understand that peak expression is going to be distorted just because the accumulation phase has yet to wear off, right? That's why most people take a deload. Hence, after a week 3, if they do 3-week programming, 4th week of deload, or they do 4-week programming, 5th week of deload, they take that deload to allow the accumulation and adaptations the accumulations of fatigue to subside, and then the adaptations to fall in place in order to lead them into a healthier week 1 to repeat the process and cycle all over again. So in my terms, technical bar path efficiency was way higher on my third set than my second. I kind of felt unsure that my third set would actually be there because of how inefficient my second set was. It wasn't so bad that I was like, I need to call it, but I knew I needed to lock in and allow myself to utilize some of that neurological drive and spin that cost there rather than go in flat, right, and essentially add higher cost on the structural integrity, given this is structural integrity being my system in general, being that this is my first primary bench day of the week and start of week 4. I didn't want to go the route of adding cost in the terms of on my system and structure. I rather add the cost in terms of neurological expenditure, right? I could afford to think a little harder and grip the bar a little harder and be focused a little harder, but I couldn't afford to just lay on the bench and allow the set to be what is going to be, whether good or bad. So yeah, I had to not fight for the rep, but I definitely had to focus in and be a little bit more intuitive of what I wanted to get out of the rep, which I never find myself doing on a week 1. Typically, I find myself doing that more on a week 4, but I expect that cost, right? So if you're programming yourself, you also have to look at the fact, are there costs that you expect to incur as your weeks progress, right? Most people think as a week one is something you should be able to do in your sleep. Not much cost incurred on a neurological standpoint, right? And then on a week 4, there's a lot more psychological and neurological input because you're hyping yourself up, going through these peaks and valleys of hype, calm, right? So if you're programming yourself, account for those, right? Don't necessarily blow your lid too soon, but utilize that to your advantage, because if you're looking at your whole macro cycle and then you're looking at your micro cycle, the block that you're in, day by day, week by week, you have to understand that you have a lift that is like a key lift for you, right? And some of that psychological and neurological drive that you expense there can help not only improve adaptation, but also recover from substantial amount of fatigue that may overtake you, right? If you were not to use that psychological and neurological drive, right? So don't expense that psychological and neurological drive on a lift that is just like so-so. For me, in my case, bench is like that lift that's just kind of been so-so, right? I don't expense a lot of psychological and neurological drive on that lift because I know bench for me is going to be what it's going to be, right? I never train my bench. I wouldn't say never. I don't train my bench often to express peak strength at the end of every block, right? I'm always asking myself, what more can I get from my bench? Because here I am now on a block where I'm benching 4 days a week. So to expect myself to be able to hit an all-time PR right now, having placed this new method into my programming, is unrealistic. So I'm not going to expense and try to incur psychological costs and neurological costs on a week 4 for my bench. I'm just not going to do it. Not at a high level like I would my squat or a potential PR deadlift, right? Because I feel like if you're not going for a PR deadlift, then you should hold on to some of that neural drive, because yes, we recover fast from deadlift, but at the same time, if you miscue yourself, you can miss the lift that you potentially had. So it's better to remain focused and dialed than hyped and ramped up in order to get a lift. Because I've seen plenty of lifters hype themselves up so much so and then go out and miss a lift because they allowed their focus drive to turn into a psychological cost, which end up ultimately changing their mannerisms that they needed in order to ensure a successful lift. So psychological drive. So I say psychological drive in terms of like mental expenditures that you throw into a lift, the hype, the jumping, the screaming, smelling salts, that type of stuff, right? Because that has a way of changing and altering brain waves, frequency, that type of thing to rile you up in a manner, right? Then I say neurological costs in a sense of using every muscle fiber, incorporating more muscle fibers, stimulating more muscle fibers to act upon a certain weight to get it to move the way that you want it to, right? So many people focus on putting a lot of psychological costs, right, rather than staying focused and utilizing the neurological cost that they need, such as stimulating more muscle fibers to attempt and then essentially be successful with the PR attempt, right? A lot of people go left instead of going right in that sense. So unless you're going for a PR deadlift, I would stay more on the neurological side, because as deadlift, yes, we recover fast from it, but we also incur the most costs because it's utilizing a bigger portion of our chain systems, our posterior chains and our frontal chain, it's using those to a greater degree, which also come with a greater risk. And the risk is much greater than the reward sometimes. As you know, people get excited about hitting a 5-pound PR after 1 to 2 years, 3 years, whatever, because they understand that the risk to reward ratio is very different when it comes to deadlift, right? The risks are always there, but the reward side only comes every once blue moon. Anyway, it's Coach Sean. I'm gonna get off of here. I appreciate y'all staying in tune. Like, share, comment, subscribe for your boy. Get me in the algorithm. I got a good information to share, a lot of comparisons to get to, but overall a lot of knowledge and put forth evidence and effort that I have done on my own to get me where I am and to continue to keep me healthy in this thing we call life, powerlifting. Not to mention my weight loss journey. Not really on a weight loss journey, but just becoming overall healthier version of myself through a body recomp. And the journey that it has taken to get there is